Do you want to know the secret to everyone who is building a powerful and successful business online? Think about your favorite gurus online or even your favorite brands. Yep, they have this too. They have this one powerful strategy in place, and it's part of the engine of their online empire. They all have an email list. If you're building a business or brand of any size in 2020 and beyond, one of the most important business moves you could make is spending time and resources to build your email list. I mean, think about it. Building your influence on social media is rented land. You don't own Instagram. And here at Think Marketing, we want to equip you to learn how to create thriving online businesses without falling victim to the algorithm changes that can happen at any time. Email marketing, it's your insurance in the unpredictable nature of social media platforms, having them coming and going. You don't know what will happen. But having email is so important. And even with these powerful platforms, email is alive and well. You know, as a consumer myself, I love opening up my email and seeing valuable content from the businesses and the brands that I love and follow. I like getting insider information, tips and strategies and coupons and discounts. Those emails are amazing. An email is actually their direct access to me. And on today's episode, it's probably one of my most favorite ones we've done so far on the Think Marketing podcast. So grab a notebook and get ready, because Sean sits down with #1 best-selling author and serial entrepreneur Pat Flynn to dive into the best practices of email, what tools and software you need to not only get started, but to scale. And make sure that you stick around until the end, where Pat shares this one strategy for how he's generating sales and growing his business on autopilot. Welcome to the Think Marketing Podcast, the #1 podcast for growing and scaling your business with online video. I'm Heather Torres.
And I'm Sean Cannell, and we're from Think Media. And if this is your first time listening, welcome.
This show is dedicated to helping you learn how to get your content noticed and the latest money-making strategies working right now online. So whether you want to grow your YouTube channel or you want to maximize video across all of social media, this podcast is for you.
Welcome back to the Think Marketing Podcast. Today, we're talking all about email marketing and the importance of using email to grow your business, to have consistent revenue, and some of the best practices with email. We're going to be answering the question of why email marketing, and is email marketing dead? And today, I'm joined by my guest and friend, Pat Flynn, the founder of Smart Passive Income. How's it going, Pat?
Stoked, man, dude. I'm so excited for you and the show, because I was there when it all started for you. Just congrats to you and your team, man.
Thank you so much. People have been loving the podcast, and you are the podcast king, and your content, your courses
Thank you.
have helped us really launch this podcast, and we're excited because it's really just getting started.
Dude, the world of podcasting is just getting started. I mean, there's less than 1 million shows out there still, so you came in at the right time. Good job.
Man, I love that. And for those that are just meeting you, first of all, we're so pumped that you're coming to Las Vegas to Grow with Video Live as one of our speakers.
Dude, I'm stoked.
Yeah.
Not just because it's in Vegas.
Sure.
I'm there to serve you, your community. You've helped me out so much. Just really excited to give back, and we're going to have some fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. But for those that are just meeting you, how do you help people, and what are you all about?
So, quick story, I was laid off in 2008 from my architecture job. That was my dream job. And I survived that layoff because I started an online business helping people pass an architecture exam. And after that happened, and I made over 6 figures in a year doing that, a lot of people started asking me for help. So since then, I've just been devoted to helping others discover what things they can offer others, not trying to create the next Uber or SpaceX or whatever. Like, I want people to know that every single person out there has the ability, with their skills, experiences, personality, to find people who will resonate with them and their message to help them, as you often say, impact their influence and income and grow that online. So I've just been doing this for the last decade through podcasting, blogging, video now, as well as writing books and speaking all around the world. So I'm just here to serve and hopefully help people make either a few extra bucks if they need it in their life, or even quit their jobs that they hate. That's why I'm here.
Man, I love that. And your content has been amazing. And you have a lot of great different topics that you cover. You've got a great YouTube channel, couple powerful podcasts, really successful books. But today we're talking about email marketing. And the cool thing about this topic is that it's an essential topic, probably a little undercovered in some circles. And no matter where you're building your influence, whether it's YouTube or in podcasting or social media across the board, another friend of ours and speaker of Growth Video Live, Chalene Johnson, talks about this kind of like if you're not building your email list, you're not even building your business, and you're very vulnerable to the algorithms and things like that. But before we even get into it, why email marketing? I think some people could think email is dead, man. Does anyone use email anymore?
That's for old people. Yeah, dude, every year there's this email is dead kind of thing, but you know what else happens every year? The social media streams and platforms that we're on and dedicating our time and love and sweat into, they're putting up walls between ourselves and those who said they want to hear from us, right? We see it in the algorithms. We definitely see it on Facebook and Instagram and other places where you kind of have to pay to play. And I think it was Toby, I can't remember his last name, but he's the founder and CEO of Shopify. He said, guys, email is the last place we have total control over. Every other place is somebody else's sandbox. And when you play in other people's sandboxes, they can make up any rules that they want. So email is still the best way to connect directly with people who say, yes, I want to hear from you. Now, there's still the idea of, well, you're also fighting against other people in an inbox. And of course, there's strategies related to writing great subject lines and creating content that actually wants to be opened and that kind of thing. But when it comes down to it, you still own your list. And I'll tell you, I was hacked in 2013. My website was hacked. It was down for 2.5 weeks. And I make, my website was making $2,000-$3,000 a day. Like, that's a lot of money that was lost.
No
and
doubt.
I was so scared that my website would be gone and my business would be shut down forever. But I remembered, I had this email list. I could literally set up shop somewhere else if I needed to. So bring it on, hackers. No, actually, I probably shouldn't say that.
Sure.
Don't bring it on. Just, I respect you. But anyway, the email list is your business insurance.
Yeah.
It's your business insurance. And it's also an amazing way to directly communicate with, yes, you to them kind of en masse, but when a person receives an email, it still feels very personal. And if you're doing any sort of research, if you're starting a business and you want to understand, well, what are the biggest pains and problems and struggles that my target audience has? What should my course be on? What videos should I create? What blog content should I write about? Well, when you have an email list, you don't have to guess. You can just ask. And we're going to talk a lot about all kinds of strategies related to that today.
Yeah, and we're going to jump into 5 strategies. But, when I think about email too, and from learning from friends like you and Chalene, when we started Video Influencers, Benji and I, the reason we actually launched the channel, because we knew we wanted to write a book. And I was talking to Chalene, and she was talking about how you could get on Good Morning America. She did, and shows like, I think even Regis and Kelly at the time. It was, I think, maybe just Kelly. And that even peers of her that would maybe launch a book, for example. Mm-hmm. So whether it's a business, you've launched physical products like SwitchPod.
Yeah.
And that you need an email list if you want to do that successfully. Because yes, you can tell social, but you don't know what your reach will be there.
Right.
And so we wanted to write the book YouTube Secrets, which today is the #1 best-selling YouTube strategy book in the world.
I love it, man.
I think we're up to like 35,000 copies sold in our niche. That's pretty remarkable.
That's amazing.
And what's powerful about that, though, is we started the process and the journey of creating the book, but I realized from good mentors, right, from watching and listening to podcasts like this, investing in myself, we put the brakes on and we thought, let's build an email list first of 25,000 people before we launch the book. And the key to the success of the book, which led to all kinds of other success and other things, I really believe was that when it came out and when we did that launch, it was that we had built that email list where we had that ability to communicate directly to say, hey, we've been adding value, we've been showing up for our people, but hey, we got this thing out that'll add even more value, check it out. And then of course we were able to rank and keep it going consistent, all because of having an email list. And a lot of times, like you said, creators, entrepreneurs, business owners can be very vulnerable if they haven't invested in this.
Completely. And great job you guys setting that up. I think I have a lot of people come to me to write and launch books too. Building an email list up front before or even as you are writing the book is an amazing strategy. You might not even know exactly what you want to create, but you can bring people in on the journey. That in and of itself is interesting enough to follow along, and you get to send little personal messages about your updates of whatever it is that you're creating. And then by the time this thing comes out, they're invested because they've been involved this whole time. And that's the cool thing about email. You had mentioned 25,000, which I think is great. I worry about people listening and going like, I could never get to that level, right? And I think you have to also realize that even if you had 10 people on your email list, those are 10 human beings in this world who've said, I want to learn more from you, please help, or I'm interested in what you have to say. And then you can communicate with them and ask them what they might need help with, thus reducing the idea that you have to guess in terms of what you want to do, and validate the ideas that you want to pursue before you actually spend that time and money to put into it.
In celebration of the launch of this brand new podcast, we're giving away 2 tickets to our annual conference, Grow with Video Live, a $1,500 value.
All you have to do to enter is make sure you subscribe, leave us a review on Apple Podcast, and then take a screenshot of your review and go to thinkmarketingshow.com for the rest of the details. Yeah, so powerful. Well, tip number 1 that you have for us is if you're going to build an email list, do not just put up a page and hope people sign up, but give people a reason to subscribe. What do you mean by that?
Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, oh my gosh, I can't wait to subscribe to more email lists today. I mean, people don't want more emails. So you need to kind of let people know, well, why should they subscribe? What are they going to get on the other end? Now, one trick that a lot of people use is to give something away for free to sort of help people who are on the fence to like want to subscribe. And there are hundreds of things you could offer that don't require a lot of time. When I first started building an email list in 2010, I had created an ebook about how to write an ebook because that was the architecture guide that I kind of became successful with. It was an ebook, and I just was like, hey, I'm just going to show you how to do this. And it was like a 35-page document. It took, a good couple months to put it together. It was a book, and I gave it away for free, and that was high value for people. Today, however, if you tell people, hey, please subscribe to my list, I'm going to give you a 35-page document, nobody wants that anymore. Nobody has the time to do that anymore. So what I would recommend is try to find what's the number one simplest thing that you could do to offer value to your audience and create a lead magnet around that. That's what we're collecting leads here, essentially, and a lead magnet is the thing that you could offer in exchange. So it could be as simple as, even like, let's say you're doing photography stuff. Your lead magnet can be the 2020 guide to the top 5 lenses under $200 that you can use on your Sony or Nikon cameras or what have you, Canon. And that guide in of itself, if it's not public, it becomes something that people want, if you know that that's obviously relevant for them. And it could just simply be a page with some images and some thoughts about it, but it has to be helpful, but it doesn't have to be huge, right? I think the smaller the problem is sometimes the better, because it's just, if you know that's what they want right now, they'll subscribe for it. But it's most important that you continue the conversation after, which relates to some of the other tips that I know we have going on. But you need to give people a reason to subscribe, or else nobody sees an opt-in form and goes, ooh, email, I want more email. Nobody says that. Yeah,
so true. And the second tip is the lead magnet kind of tip, but what are some ideas around
let's talk about that.
Around best practices around lead magnets? And plus, you help so many of your students and your community, maybe even some cool lead magnet ideas in different formats that could maybe trigger what we could be giving away free as entrepreneurs.
Sure, I got a bunch. So I mentioned earlier the list of tools. People love lists of tools because we believe that when we get the tool, we're going to be that much better, right? I'm going to get the great pro lens, and I'm going to be this pro photographer right away. Maybe, but we love to see what those tools are. So that's number one. Number two, it could be a quick start guide. So maybe you teach a lot of people how to do something like, maybe it's about a new camera, for example. And there's some really interesting advanced things you could do. If you, for example, Sean, were to create a quick start guide about a new Canon camera that came out and gave that away as a lead magnet, now you're getting email subscribers, and now you also know what they're up to. They just bought this camera. Now you could follow up with them later about, hey guys, I know you have this camera. You can just send emails just to those people alone and go, I have these other things that'll help you too.
And that's so powerful because your lead magnet does actually kind of describe to you what they're interested in if you do it well.
Exactly.
You know exactly who you're talking to because they raise their hand for that thing.
So a quick start guide is great. A checklist, if you, and this is a specialized kind of lead magnet where it can be related to a specific video or blog post or podcast episode that you come out with. So let's say, for example, you're doing a podcast episode and it's like, 20 tips to use Facebook ads to, sell more of your product. Well, in that episode, you can go, oh, and by the way, go to this page here, and you can download my free checklist. It has all the things I mentioned all in one spot for you, and you can use that to help guide you through this process. That's super helpful, a checklist. You could also offer the first chapter of your book as a lead magnet, which could then lead people to get excited about it to then download and purchase the rest of your book. You could offer a free video or an exclusive podcast interview that you've done that's kind of hidden, or a replay to a webinar, or anything of value that you think would be helpful for your audience that you're building would work.
And so, I mean, and this works in any niche. If you were doing sales, you could do some scripts, maybe some powerful 5 opening script lines. If you were doing, I know people in our community have done like meditations. They'll do an audio file that's maybe going to work on your mindset, or something that's motivational or educational. It could be a short video or some kind of a video. That again, you're saying it should be a quick win.
Quick win for sure, because that way they can see that there is actual real value that's coming. I mean, if it takes 40 days to get through the thing, they're never going to get to the point where they go, oh, okay, this guy's got it. No, if you could do that in 5 to 10 minutes, I mean, they're going to continue to open those emails. They're going to come back. They're going to subscribe. They're to your channel, and they're gonna become super fans at some point, perhaps.
And you could create this. I mean, I guess you could go to Google Docs and export it as a PDF, or maybe use a PowerPoint or a Keynote and export it. Like, just pretty easy to create. Those would be some PDF downloads. You could record an audio file with Audacity, like figuring out how to actually create these, right?
I mean, it could be an unlisted video on YouTube that's just for the people who subscribe, for example. So after they subscribe, they get the follow-up email that says, hey, thanks, click here to watch the video for what you asked for, and just deliver it to them right away. And they almost kind of feel special getting something that not everybody else has. And then something you could do at the end of the lead magnet, at the end of that video, at the end of wherever, and just say, hey, if you want to help share this, if you think this was valuable and you want to share it, share this link. And the link doesn't go to that lead magnet. It goes to the place where somebody else can go get that lead magnet.
Now perpetually growing your email list.
Exactly.
Super powerful. Well, that brings us to tip number 3, which now that you've created this free thing to give away, you want to set up a landing page. Talk about that.
So a landing page is a page on the web, whether you host it or your email service provider hosts it, that literally has nothing else to do when a person lands on that page other than subscribe to get the thing or leave. Too often, a lot of people who have websites will mention their free gift or subscribe here, but then there's like 100 other things you could do on that page. You could check the about page, you could go on the footer, you could see this ad, and there's so many distractions. This is in internet marketer terms called a squeeze page. I don't like that term because I don't want to squeeze anybody.
Sure.
But really what we're doing here is we're taking traffic from somewhere, we're putting it onto this page, and we're squeezing them to just do one action and one action only. You get the thing. And what's cool about this is they go there and you can have an image of it, or if it's a digital product, a digital representation of it. You could have testimonials about people who've used this free thing. You could have a video promoting it, whatever you want to do. Like, you would want to sell it as if it was a real product, but it's free and it's valuable, and that's going to help you increase your conversion rates.
Yeah, and it could seem overwhelming. You might say, well, that sounds technical, that seems tough. But setting up a landing page, especially in 2020 and beyond, has really been easier than ever.
So easy. I wish we were this easy when I started.
Sure. There's a lot of free software. Now, we use kind of, in our whole world, we use Kajabi, which is a whole bunch of things. It's kind of the all-in-one. That's where our course is, and landing pages. I remember when I started, I used MailChimp with a free account, and I did a very simple landing page. Up to a certain number of email subscribers, it was free to even run the account. And but there's some other tools you like as well.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I use and am an affiliate for ConvertKit, and I'm also an advisor for the company because I love it so much. And they help a lot of beginners. So if you're not quite at Kajabi level yet, which would be a great thing to lead into at some point, ConvertKit could be great, and they have a free plan as well. So it doesn't really matter. They all do the same things, although there's reasons why I love ConvertKit more than others. But the truth is, you got to get started. You got to build your list, and a lot of these tools allow you to just create a single page. You don't even need a website yet. You can actually have a landing page created and hosted by these companies, and then just feed that link. You can post a link to that landing page in the bio of your socials, in your descriptions in YouTube, at the bottom of your email signatures whenever you send an email, and you can just lightly drive people there, and you'll start to see your email subscriber base grow. And again, reminder, these are real human beings that are now interested that you could follow up with, communicate with, and turn into something amazing.
That's so powerful. And if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, of course, we always summarize some of our best resources and all the show notes in the YouTube description. If you're listening on audio, check out the show notes. And we'll recommend some of these tools so you can get started. Whether you just want to jump in at a free level or you want to scale up with something powerful like ConvertKit, as Pat was talking about. I also love the fact that once this is set up, you really now are in business, and this can make social media even more fun. Meaning, it could be an Instagram story where you might, be showing behind the scenes, doing a lot of different things, but you might say, hey, by the way, if you didn't know, I've got a free checklist on whatever it is, the problem you solve, and you could just swipe up, or if you don't have that feature, click the link in my bio, or go to a forwarding URL. That's one of the things we do a lot, is we use a lot of forwarding URLs. Typically those landing pages created by whatever software are super long and maybe hard to communicate. And so if you had a blog, you might say blog name / whatever. We a lot of times will say like thinkmasterclass.com. That goes to a webinar, which is a little bit longer.
So you just bought the domain?
But we just bought the domain, and we forward it really easy in GoDaddy. We have viralvideochecklist.com. And if you want to see an example, you could go to viralvideochecklist.com. What you'll see there is a Kajabi page, and we just bought that URL on GoDaddy and redirected that easy to create page in the software.
So if you have like a really well-performing lead magnet, like it's worth doing that for sure. Because then when you're on an interview, audio or video, it's just super easy to drop that in, easy for a person to remember and plug into their computer. The cool thing about this, like there's different kinds of emails you can send. So after you bring people on this list, right, there's a couple things you can do. There's broadcast emails, which are real-time emails. You like write an email and then it gets sent to everybody. It's pretty self-explanatory. But the other powerful thing about these email service providers that we're talking about, which is the big differentiator between just like manually writing down emails and sending them one by one, which would eventually just drive you nuts, is something called the autoresponder sequence. And these are emails, imagine, that you write ahead of time so that if a person subscribes, they go through the sequence of emails you've already written over time. So they get email number 1 on day 1, they might get the next email a week after, the next email a week after that, and now you're sort of like automatically nurturing and providing value to this audience. Some of these emails could be, include affiliate links to things. Some of them could be to your program after, 4 weeks. It's just, you can write them once and they continue to work for you. And then the next time you send a broadcast, it's more likely where there's something sort of real time that needs to happen, they're going to be more likely to open the email because they've opened all the other ones and have gotten value from it.
That's amazing. And Pat, what is your longest autoresponder sequence that...
So the longest one I ever had was 52 emails, one every week.
So it was a year long.
It was a year long, but we've gotten a little bit more sophisticated with our email such that a person's in that year-long sequence, but if we see that they clicked on something that is related to podcasting, for example, we take them off that list and we put them in a podcast sequence that was pre-written so that we can sort of warm them up about the idea of starting a show, overcome all the objections. Again, these are emails that are already pre-written, and then sell them into a course perhaps.
And your software is doing that dynamically.
Yeah. It's hands-off. So I can spend more time on social and actually communicate with people. I can spend more time at conferences. Like, I'm not in the weeds anymore because I've already built out the sequences.
So powerful. It's not easy, but it's worth it. And especially when you have some of these tips and strategies, you can go further faster. And once you put in the work, then this is working for you. And that is the power of an email list. Well, that gets us to number 4, and that is consistency and messaging. So now people are signing up because you gave them something free. You figured out how to get them on your email list. And now they may just be on the list. So you could set broadcasts. So maybe you're writing one a week, or maybe you've written a 4-week sequence or 4 days in a row. But what you're actually saying in these emails, Pat, what's needed with our messaging when it comes to these?
You need to speak the same language that your target audience resonates with. So before you even build an email list, I think it would be really important for you to do some research about not just the problems, the pains, the interests of your target audience, but how do they describe them? It was Jay Abraham who said, if you can define the problem better than your target customer, they'll automatically assume you have the solution. So one thing, for example, I do is I have some lead magnets that are specific to people who are just starting a business. Like I know that they don't have a business or else they wouldn't have downloaded this thing. So that tells me that they're brand new. So they don't need the advanced SEO guide. They don't need any of this stuff that's probably going to make them feel overwhelmed. Just beginner stuff. But what I do is in the first email that I send back to them, like it's already pre-written, the subject line is welcome future entrepreneur, right? So I'm like playing on the idea that, they're starting a business, right? So that's kind of what they aspire to. But in that email, I start off by saying, hey, really quick, do any of these following items resonate with you? And it's a bullet point list of literally every struggle that I know a beginner entrepreneur has. I don't know if my idea is good enough. I'm afraid I'm going to waste my time and money. I think my friends and family are going to think I'm crazy. I have this secure job, but I don't want to leave it. Like, what do I do? So guess what's happening? A person who just subscribed to an email list that I have because they got something for free, they get that message. They're essentially nodding their head their entire time they read that. And they're telling themselves, this guy knows where I am. He must know where I can go, right? And I've literally gotten people to reply to that email and go, I feel like you're in my head. Like, how did you know? Or I can't wait to learn from you. Thank you so much. I feel like I finally found my person, right? So really understanding the language that your target audience uses and just literally giving it back to them, which is why you can be really sort of ninja with some of your emails. Like one of my first emails that I have in my autoresponder sequence, which you all should have it too, should be, the subject line would be like, real quick question for you. And then in the email it says, hey, can you reply to this email and let me know what your number one biggest challenge is related to, starting a business or, whatever.
Yeah.
Swimming, whatever your niche is.
Training your dog.
Exactly. So now you're actually going to get replies back of your target audience telling you what they want from you and what your next video can be about, what your next lead magnet can be about, what your course can be about. But you also you can literally just copy and paste those answers and kind of extrapolate the same language back to them so that somebody else new who comes in can go, oh my gosh, like, I found my people.
Man, that's so powerful. And really, your business can be lit on fire when you have a market message match. And so if they're sending you, what's your biggest challenge with losing weight or gaining muscle? What's your biggest challenge? And now they're saying, well, this is where I'm stuck. And you may have not known that, so it may give you an idea, but you might not have known the way they're communicating that in the actual language they're using, yeah?
Right. And then in the advanced parts of your email list later on down the road, you can go, oh, here are the people who said when they're interested in fitness, they're actually interested in nutrition. Here are the people who actually want to run their first marathon. Here are the people who want to do weight loss. 3 different crowds, but all in the same niche. So now you can kind of create your buckets and find, what are the specialized messages within your overall market. And now I can send, to the weight loss people, here are the programs I use, here's my favorite coach or what have you. People who are interested in nutrition, like, hey, check out this thing that you could order to get food sent to your home. Like, I can now have specific homogenous groups that each get specific messages. That's a little bit more advanced and a little bit later, but this is the power. It could be done automatically.
Yes.
Right? I could just set these things up ahead of time, and it's working for me, and literally dollars on autopilot at some point.
Man, who would have thought that we'd be getting excited about building our email list? And these tips are so valuable, Pat. Thank you. We have a 5th tip coming up in just a second, but just want to ask you that if you've been getting value and you've been enjoying the Think Marketing podcast and this episode, definitely like, rate, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you leave a review on iTunes, that would mean the world to us. And then also, if you haven't got your tickets yet for Growth Video Live, growthvideolive.com. Pat Flynn is one of our amazing speakers this year, and there's a whole great lineup of guest speakers. It's the #1 video conference for entrepreneurs. And so to learn more about that, go to growthvideolive.com. Pat, the 5th tip now, as we are landing the plane, is that once people are on your email list, and even now that we're thinking about our messaging and speaking their language, you want to make sure that you're actually communicating and that you're not just selling. And I think about this, one of the worst things, I remember early on when I learned about the power of an email list, I started growing one. And I put together a landing page. I was using GetResponse back in those days, and even a free account. Put together a landing page. People started signing up, but I wasn't sending them anything. I was just letting the emails collect and maybe once every 6 months, which was not very effective. And so not only is there maybe some consistency, but like how often we should be communicating, and the fact that it was also every 6 months, I might have been like, oh, here, by the way, now I have something for you to buy, and I hadn't been talking to them in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, imagine in real life somebody who you hadn't seen in a while come up to you and go, hey, dude, Sean, good to see you. You want to buy my Tupperware? It's like, it's not going to come off very well. So you definitely want to be consistent. It doesn't mean you have to send an email every day. And in fact, every day, unless it's shared up front, is quite often, once a week, even every other week, or even once a month, at least just staying on top of mind for people is what's key, and delivering value so that when you do have an ask, it doesn't come out of nowhere. And so a person might feel the need to, transact because they've already gotten a lot of value from you. So yeah, staying consistent is important, communicating, but communication in a sense of just not having it be a one-way conversation every time. We touched on this a little bit about the idea of actually asking for a reply. Like, make that a thing where, and I share this tip with a lot of people. They're like, no, Pat, I don't want people to reply to my email. Like, that's going to be too much work. It's going to be too much work for you to know exactly what your audience wants. And like, we do most of the work trying to figure that out. So make it easy. And it also helps with getting through again in the future to them, because if a person replies to the email, then that basically tells Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail or whatever their client is that, oh, this person's like real. I'm going to make sure all the emails show up in the primary tab or what have you later on. So it helps for that reason too, and your deliverability. But there's other kinds of emails you can use to communicate. For example, hey, tell us about your experience with our brand so far. Is there anything else we could do to improve? Asking questions like, hey, we're thinking of coming up with these 3 different products. Which one of these would be most relevant to you? So now you're just collecting data at the same time. People feel great because they're getting actually permission to reply, which is very unusual. And no, it might not be scalable at all, but not everything has to be scalable. There's a lot of bits and pieces that you can automate, but communication in this kind of sense shouldn't be. But you can have it feel very, very personal, even on autopilot, with a lot of these tagging and segmentation and automation rules that can be popped in there.
Well, man, Pat, so much good stuff. And obviously, this is something you can grow into. I mean, now you've been probably learning about email marketing, probably becoming a better writer over years,
totally.
Studying kind of copywriting, the art of writing marketing copy, and even just writing in general as an author yourself.
Yeah.
And what's some encouragement there for those that maybe are overwhelmed to like, well, oh, man, I'm looking at a blank page?
Start with the service that you're offering for others. What do they really need help with? And just as you're writing, as you're doing your work, just think about that person on the other end. That always guides me. And then if you are just struggling and that cursor's like on the screen basically telling you can't write, like that's what I feel like it's saying to me.
Right.
I get off of the screen. I don't try to fight it. I go to talk to somebody about it, because when I talk to somebody about it, I don't have that cursor in my head. You just talk and you listen and you have a conversation. And then usually when you come back after a conversation, even if it's on social media, usually you have a better headspace to get going.
So powerful. Pat Flynn, if people want to connect with you, what are some of the resources you have, and where can they connect with you online and follow up with you?
So Pat Flynn on YouTube would be a great place to go. I know your audience loves the YouTubes. But I'm definitely a podcaster at heart, and if you're listening to this, very quick and easy to check out the Smart Passive Income Podcast, or just look up Pat Flynn. You'll find probably one of 5 of my shows there. It's my passion. And then patflynn.com, my new personal site that just went up.
Man, I love it. And I'm so excited that you're coming out to Las Vegas for Grow a Video Live. Grateful for just your legacy, your influence in this space. And one of the reasons why you and all of the other guest speakers were so excited about having you is because of just your character, your ethics, and you being just light in the world, that it's possible to do online business with integrity.
Absolutely.
And we see a lot that's maybe not that vibe, but that's what we care about. And we say that, look, these are great tools. They're not meant to abuse or manipulate anybody, but they're meant to actually serve humanity, make a difference in people's lives. And we need more examples like you that I think are just showing us kind of how to serve people and build really transparent, really powerful businesses that you can not just make a great living from, but also make a great difference.
Yeah. You can sell and serve at the same time. You absolutely can.
Love that.
All right. The Pat Flynn interview, I can't believe the value he just dropped in that interview, all about email marketing. And, email marketing isn't some cool, trendy thing. It has been the backbone of these businesses. And I am so excited that the Think Marketing community just got that episode.
I agree. I mean, there's really nothing really to even re-emphasize about that. It's all in there. I mean, that was like a real step-by-step of really how to get started with email marketing. And of course, so many resources in the show notes if you want to take action on that. But I think my biggest takeaway from Pat is just who he is. I have had the fortunate, opportunity to get to know him over the last few years, and we've developed a friendship. And man, he's just really one of the good guys, in the kind of internet marketing online space, there's so many people that really are kind of shady. You can tell like they're in it for themselves, or they're really not doing business with integrity, or their values are just kind of maybe more selfish and directed on a lot of those things. But what I love about Pat Flynn is that he's building an online business with integrity, that he loves people, that he's an incredible family man, and that he also just adds tremendous value, and that whatever you hear from him, wherever you hear, he's always serving. He's got a heart of service, a heart of helping, and that he also now has really built a legacy because he's been around in this industry for like really almost like a decade or more, really teaching, really helping people. And it's cool to see longevity, legacy. Man, he's like one of our Think Marketing podcast family members, I feel like. And that's another reason why, by the way, that's like what we hope to, anybody we really bring to our event or on the podcast kind of goes through that filter at some level. And Pat, though, man, he is just one of the good guys. I can't rave enough about him. But anyways, I'm pumped because he is coming to Grow with Video Live. He teaches as an authority on so many different things. Superfans, his book, of course, Smart Passive Income, affiliate marketing, podcasting, even YouTube now. So he's going to be adding tremendous value this year in Las Vegas. And so I'm pumped.
Yeah, I cannot wait to sit in his session. I mean, I love every time Pat teaches because he just brings so much clarity to all of the topics that he covers. And if you want to see Pat Flynn live with us at Grow with Video Live 2020 here in Las Vegas, you can go to growwithvideolive.com right now to see our best deals and all of the amazing speakers that we have that will be here in September.
All right, TMS listeners, it is time, though, to take action. You've got to take the information we just learned and say, what's your next step? Do you already have an email list, and do you need to double down and make sure you're mailing them consistently and really actually following through and not just capturing that email? Do you need to just get started and actually pick a provider or build something free to give away? Don't overthink it. Done is better than perfect. Punch fear in the face, punch procrastination in the face, and get started with email marketing. And remember, what gets scheduled gets done. So put it on your calendar. When are you going to follow up on the notes and the learnings that came from this episode so that you can start building your business and your income faster with email marketing?
Yeah, and while you're writing that down, we just want to give a shout out to one of our listeners that left a review on the podcast, Sean. I love reading these reviews. It's amazing to see the community that's being built here for the Think Marketing Show. And today's comes from EAO Real Estate. They said, the best business marketing and media podcast in the world. I love your YouTube channel. I try to consume all of your content to further my business, but sometimes I'm in the car and I can't watch your videos. So the podcast is perfect so I can get tips on furthering my business with their marketing and media tips.
Man, I love it. And if you have not yet reviewed the Think Marketing Podcast, we'd love it if you just took some time to go to Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, and just leave a review. And guess what? You can be entered to win 2 tickets to Grow with Video Live for free by simply leaving a review. There's a few simple steps, and they are all outlined at thinkmarketingshow.com. So if you go to thinkmarketingshow.com, we'll walk you through exactly what to do. Then you'll be entered to win and maybe featured in one of our comments of the week.
Yeah, and we'd love for you to be a part of the community that we're building here for the Think Marketing Show. All you need to do is click that subscribe button if you're watching right now on YouTube, or if you're listening in the car, just like they were. When you're parked, you can go ahead and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or anywhere that you love to listen to podcasts. We appreciate you. We want you to know that we're here every single week to help you go further faster, and we cannot wait to see you in the next episode.
Pat Flynn, know it's in. Now we're gonna get it in. Social media marketing world. Now we're gonna do it then. San Diego, do it now. Up and up, get it down. This is how it happens now. Pat Flynn, every single day when we rock this. Every single day when we drop hits. You gotta know that it's Pat Flynn helping you with passive income. If you gonna, okay.